very strongly. And we are just not doing very well. And people talk about jobs, but you can't have jobs when our products are made outside of the United States.
Compared to the beginning of the decade, now that we're at the end of the decade, a steady decline on the tests that you just laid out? Any bright spots in there?
Yes, I would say it's been a steady decline. It's been a solid, steady decline. And the decline is really taking place because other places in the world, which heretofore didn't really exist from an economic standpoint, as competitors. They are just eating our lunch. And I see things happening that I've never seen before in terms of our economy. And I don't smile because there's nothing to smile about, but I do listen to the economists in various of the morning shows, and they talk about jobs. And I say, how do you create jobs? They say, well, job growth, job growth. But how do you create jobs when China's making our furniture, when I order curtain walls and the glass is ordered from China, curtain walls for buildings, when so many other products are made outside of the United States, toys are made outside of the United States. They used to be made in the United States. Furniture is made, tremendous amounts of furniture coming in from other countries, in particular China. And we're rebuilding other countries. And nobody seems to do anything about it. And nobody really picks up the mantle. I mean, I'm very strong on it. I'll do your program. I'll do other programs. I'll talk about how China is taking advantage of this country.
But what do you do about it? Whether it's your view that they're cheating or just that they are eating our lunch because they're faster, more nimbler, smarter, what do we do about it in this country? I assume you don't support protectionism. One answer would be just to wall off the country, but what does that get you?
Well, no, I would tax Chinese products. Now, when you say cheating, they are cheating because they're manipulating their currency. It's very hard for this country to compete, companies within the country, to compete with Chinese companies and the nation, because in many cases, some of these companies are the nation because of the manipulation of the currency. I read the other day a little article that China's starting to make airplanes, and now they're going to make a plane to compete with the Boeing 737. And they're going to throw them out like gravy, and they have 100 orders already. This is the first. Be honest with you, I wouldn't want to own stock in Boeing, because between manipulation of their currency and other things, it's going to be very hard for Boeing and Airbus and others to compete. That's just a little article I read where they're making. Watch what happens. I hope you can rebroadcast this in 5 years. Boeing will suffer. Now, we think, Boeing is a great exporter, and that's fine. And by the way, if our planes are better and everything else, they're still going to have to buy them. Even if we do something which what I advocate a 25% tax on all Chinese products coming into this country. And if you do that, people say, but they are a banker. Sure, they're a banker, because we're giving them so much money, and think of it, we're giving them so much money, and then they're loaning it back to us.
So why won't the political leadership do something?
Now, I can only think of one thing, because it makes so much sense. It's so simple. And I went to the Wharton School of Finance, I understand economics, it's so simple. I can only really think of one thing, whether it's OPEC or China, it's called lobbyists. OPEC has the biggest, most powerful lobbyists in Washington. I believe those lobbyists get the politicians to leave OPEC alone.
If 9/11 is one big legacy of the last decade, and it's the biggest, I would think, another is the banking crisis. If there's a guy out there in middle America right now who wants to be the next Donald Trump and has a good idea, can he get the money?
John, I see it all the time, where people sign for a house, they put down a deposit, then they end up losing that deposit because they can't get a mortgage. And it's just as bad today as it was a year ago. And it's sort of interesting because the regulators are very tough on the banks, and yet the banks, the banks took in all of this money. And it was, if you want to just say metaphorically, they took in the people's money, and now they're not loaning it back to the people. So I'm very disappointed in the banking industry. I think it's terrible what's happened. But I will say, if you want to start a business, if you want to if you have a company, a great company that has a AAA standard, then you get money for nothing. It's unbelievable. The interest rates are so low. But the only people that can get, in theory, when you can't get money, the interest rate should be through the roof. like they were many years ago, where the prime rate went up to like 18.5%. You couldn't get money, so therefore the rate went up. Here you can't get money, and yet the rate's like, I'm getting on CDs now less than 1%, substantially less than 1%. I've never seen that before, and yet there's no money around.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.